I hope you will be absolutely blessed by the content you're about to view. Let's see the heart of the Father as we delve into matters of divorce from perspectives you likely have not heard before. I trust that the Lord will use the truth to set someone free to accomplish purpose and destiny while strengthening us in doing everything that is right and good. Please like, subscribe, and share. God bless you.
We're here to tell the truth.
How can a child from a broken home not repeat the same mistakes of their
I
parents?
just finished answering it. You have to love Jesus, walk with him, receive his liberty. Remember how we started. It's warfare. If you're casual about it, you'll be defeated. Warfare is real. Again, if I spent the last hours we did this interview just saying marriage is warfare, maybe I would have achieved more. Because the average person, the moment they hear, okay, fine, I've heard that, but let's get back to my idol. Marriage is warfare. It's a picture of Christ and the church. Satan attacks the church. Satan attacks the work of Christ in the earth. Satan will attack marriage heavily. He wants to destroy the concept of family. Family starts with a husband and wife. He'll fight it because it's what he does. So you're going to deploy all the necessary weapons to including prayer, the healing from oppressive spirits, demons. Many families have that at work in their midst, fighting them. So you see a family that their marriages don't stay together, it keeps breaking. Some have children outside only. There's every kind. Divorce. It's a real thing. For those, many Christians are of the class, you don't believe these things. Okay, no, I don't really believe in that. I believe that it's your choices that decide. Oh, your choice can take you to help or take away from help. So it is best you acknowledge that there is the possibility of demonic powers attacking you, just like with an area of illness. Many will say it's genetic. You see a family and they say, oh, they're very sharp, intelligent in this way. So same way, they're inclined to this and that. So there's that with spiritual things in divorce. Love the Lord and walk with him. He can break. Sometimes it's a bond that is broken once.
Yes.
Now, but you know how it is with the enemy. He tried to come again, but you can defeat him. He can be defeated. And there are many who have enjoyed the victory that Jesus brings. But don't despise it. I say this from the place of being someone who God has given the privilege of helping his people. I never thought it. I used to hear, I could see a signboard or a banner and they say, even though I haven't done banners all these many years, but I would see it and they say, breaking marital, and I would think, within me, not openly, but within my heart, I almost scoff at, what's all this? Please, once you're in Jesus, it's all gone. I was that person for a very long time. I've been saved for a very long time. But to be honest, when God began to tell me things, and he would tell me, I'm having a meeting, he leads me, have a meeting on this, just on marital issues. And then I'm praying, and then things happen, and then you hear families, after a meeting, people are reaching out, all these confirmations are happening, and it's scary. And I myself am shocked, like, really? This lovely brother or sister was carrying this baggage? What would have happened if they married with this? No wonder. And then it's from my experiences with ministry that I understood, and this thing I'm sharing began to form my head. Especially about the spiritual dimension of divorce, and it's from what I heard and saw, what the Spirit revealed, what people would open up and say. Then I realized, how does anyone even stand a chance if there's such spiritual violence in the background being waged over people's heads? Spirits that insist you can't stay together. Your mother broke up someone else's marriage, and there was a curse that said your own children will not marry. People would take their husbands still. Some backed it up with who knows what diabolic thing. And you would say, no, none of that will come near me. That's not how spiritual things work. The Bible tells you in 2 Kings that the prophet Elisha gave a prophetic word to 3 kings. Go and fight the king of Moab. They went to fight him as they had received permission from God to do. They got there and God gave instructions about what they were to do to Moab. When they got there and started having the victory, the Bible tells you that king offered his son as a sacrifice. The next thing you read in the Bible, indignation. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Now you might focus on how, oh yeah, they could not prevail. He took his firstborn son, who was to succeed him, offered him as a burnt offering on the city wall, and there was great fury against the Israelites. So they withdrew and returned to their own land. They withdrew and returned to their own land. Like the battle ended. Why? What should impress you is not the terrible thing. What is scary is that God gave instructions when he gave them victory. They had no water to drink. God caused water to flow miraculously down to them to drink. Water flows from Edom to them. Now, they got up and obeyed the instruction God gave, but they could not fulfill what was said fully by God himself because of this wicked sacrifice of a human burnt offering. A human burnt offering. I am saying that the power of darkness is real and it can generate very strong things in the physical, and we have victory in the Lord to conquer it. But what many Christians is they trivialize it. Oh no, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing can happen. It would be different if you're saying that no, I trust God and not to happen by his grace I'll fight. That's a different thing. I agree with you. But that's very different from nothing's gonna happen. Nothing can ever happen. I'm a child of God and I'm in the league of those that nothing can happen to. In the realm we dwell in, nothing can happen to us. That's false. That's false. And many have believed this and things have happened. Many terrible things have happened. Many divorces have happened with Christians. There's something I wanted to talk about earlier on. I'll just say it briefly. I said a little last week about who is a believer. There's too much talk about believers. I'm saying many people are not believers. We should stop implying that many people that married and divorced were believers. Many were not. They're churchgoers. They are not believers. That's a fact. They don't believe in the word of God as the basis on which to live and obey God. And then there are those who are believers, but they are not disciples. They do not desire to follow Christ in how he was. They are not imitating Christ. Matthew 5, the Lord was talking to his disciples, began to talk about adultery. The standards are always higher for a disciple. A believer believes on Jesus as Lord and that God raised him from the dead. Justification takes place, you're saved. A disciple denies father, mother, brother, sister, everything including themselves. A disciple doesn't just believe, he goes on to follow, imitate, copy, takes. He said, you cannot be my disciple, Luke chapter 14:26, except you take up your cross, except you hate father, mother. Taking up your cross, following Jesus is. So when the Lord says certain things in the Bible, it's a higher standard for those who are being called to achieve certain goals with the Lord, who are called to attain certain heights. There are heights in the Lord now and in the ages to come, provided for. And some of the rules the Lord gave was, these are some of the conditions you might have to follow if you're going to be in this cadre of my followers. Then there's this other cadre. I didn't read it, but if I read Leviticus chapter 21, and he spoke about the priestly cadre. You couldn't marry certain people, but other Israelites could marry them. They could marry like the prophet could, as how Hosea could, but some could not. They were not permitted. That's in the law of God. Why would it be there? Because we like to think everybody is the same. Everybody is not the same. The priest could only marry a virgin, couldn't marry a widow, a former prostitute couldn't marry, a foreigner, had to marry a certain. And you can read Leviticus 21, talks about the priest and the high priest. That's why the Lord Jesus, our high priest, is going to only marry the virgin, the bridal company. It has to be so. It's a prophecy. It's a picture. There are challenges that come with who you marry.
Yes.
Yeah, the chances of certain things. Gomer could divorce. Her background was prostitution. Chances of a virgin leaving her husband were quite low. This is the only man she's ever known. Something about those who have known others, what's possible, and those that have not known anybody. All these are pictures, realities, applications. If we will be open-minded, I think the Lord will help the church. So it doesn't mean priest. Now some will say, no, that means the priest. Now anyone called to a pastoring thing right now? Not necessarily. To some degree. A man who, there's even the provision of marrying a priest's daughter.
Yes.
Why? Because she grew up in the household of a priest. So her experience, her perspective, eating holy things, she grew up listening to certain things, grew up with certain things, then being joined to such a person, it does influence the implementation of the calling. So background does have an effect. Why would Abraham insist, go to my hometown? Isaac, go to my hometown. Jacob, go to my. If you want to be an Esau, please, by all means, turn left, turn right, you find a lady and pick. But if you have certain callings and purposes, God is going to also counsel. So if you ask me for an ultimate thought, I would say, let people be much more careful in how they marry, long before they marry. And a lot of the questions being asked about divorce and all the solutions being looked for will drastically reduce.
Yes.
Yes. If we would do that, instead of
people just marry. Yes,
you just marry. That arranged marriage thing, by the time they bring someone, I mean, it was fascinating. A white man was saying this, Jonathan Kahn, a white pastor. He said, an arranged marriage. When you come, you know that we haven't met before. So we are going to work on loving each other. It's a job. All the emotions are not there already. But how do people marry today? They are full of emotions. Oh, let's sustain it. And it's unsustainable. It's impossible. You're going to have to generate new juice along the way. You're going to have to generate new dopamine. So you're going to have all this. Oh, we've known for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. We are very excited about each other. You're going to lose it all. It's going to go down. It's going to be empty. Like Isaac's wealth that he inherited from Abraham. Then you have to start afresh and plant in farming. And maybe you reap 100-fold. It's you lose to gain. You know how to abase and to abound. There's going to be an up and down, in season and out of season. For those who want to ride the wave, you think there's a permanent wave and you surf it. There's no permanent wave. It's going to hit the beach and tumbling you will go. It's better to embrace life properly, clearly, with open eyes. Multiple people set up themselves. We borrow ideas from a lot of the Western world. No, you can't marry someone without knowing them. Sometimes if you know about their background from those who know them, their pastors, their people, are they God-fearing? Have they lived holy, righteous? Do they respect God, male or female? All that. Sometimes that may be enough. As opposed to, do you like each other? Do you feel something? Do you feel that zing, that electricity?
But people say, whatever you do, marry your friend.
I've heard people say the opposite, but it's okay. And girls say the same thing. Girls say a lot of things. I've heard some say I can't marry them because they are my friend. So a girl said that about me. Someone when I was in university, I couldn't marry him. He's like my friend. He's like my brother.
Well, but sir, you had been friend zoned, brother zoned.
Okay, that's the language. I've heard of it. But I don't think we should think like that. So you also said friend zone. Friend zone usually despised. We can't marry, we're just friends. Then there's this other one that marry your friend. None of that. How do you get a friend? Friendships are formed over time. So who says you can't form? The happiest people on earth are those who have fresh things oftentimes. At the beginning, fresh. So do you know if when you marry you didn't know yourselves that much, didn't know yourself physically, intimately, sexually. I mean, you didn't know yourself maybe, and then you spend maybe the first 5-10 years of your life learning, knowing. Then you now, now that we are friends, now that we've known, now then you now press on. You see, you're still in the early days after many years. But those who have spent all this time, everything is old fast.
So there's room for renewal.
There is. Usually they hope when they go for a vacation, that might do it. They come back tired. Some people come back for a vacation shortly after the self-divorce proceeding because it's like it didn't work, it didn't kickstart it. They thought it would kickstart it, and then none of these things are the solution. The best way to have a happy marriage, lay down your life for someone. If both of you are laying down your lives for each other, that'll be the happiest. One person only have 50% of, okay, different degrees, but if two of you lay down your lives for each other, you're going to have the sweetest time. But to find that person or to be that person is the hardest thing to do on earth. Only God gives grace for that.